Inspiration that rises from what breaks the heart can be the most surprising kind. A quiet twist meant for Yaman and Demet Özdemir. Welcome to Whispers of Turkish Stars. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and support, my friends. Some loves do not leave their mark on the day they begin or end, but on the day their essence is finally understood. Some bonds seem to fade when two people part ways, yet their resonance lingers in every choice, every breath, every new line on the page. The story we're exploring today belongs to that rare category, a love that ended without fireworks, but lit the fuse of something deeper inside both hearts. Once upon a time, they were the couple everyone watched, debated, and romanticized, Yaman and Demet Özdemir. Today, they aren't sharing a set, or a trailer, or a candid snapshot. No shared projects, no coordinated public moments, no carefully posed photos. And yet, an intriguing thread holds them in the same emotional orbit. Because the separate stories they tell now somehow hum with the same hidden melody. This isn't a dreamy stroll down memory lane. It isn't a will they reconcile speculation, and it's certainly not a scoreboard checking who went further or faster. It isn't about who influenced whom, either. The question is far more intimate: what shifts inside two people after a breakup? And more importantly, how does that invisible shift reshape their art? With Blue Cave, Yaman steps beyond the cloak of just an actor and moves straight into the bloodstream of the tale. He doesn't simply inhabit a character, he builds the structure, inks the lines, and breathes into the silence between words. He writes, he narrates, he gives body to feelings that most of us have trained ourselves to keep at bay. And somewhere else, with two worlds, one wish, Demet Özdemir sidesteps years of chatter, the beautiful but comments, the tidy boxes others placed around her. She sets those aside and says without raising her voice, I am not here only to recite someone else's truth. I have one of my own. These two films did not arise at random, nor did they echo each other by accident. They are not meant as answers to gossip headlines, nor as a volley of messages across the void. They are the afterglow of what comes when two people face the same storm, then walk on in different directions with the same sky still overhead. In this video, we'll look at how Can and Demet arrived at a similar kind of emotional steadiness after parting, how they kept going with a quiet, sustaining inspiration, and why these two paths feel like mirror pieces rather than opposing walls. If you've been wondering, is this really a coincidence? Keep watching. Some loves gain their sharpest meaning only when they end. Some chords don't snap, they simply change shape, becoming a rhythm rather than a shackle. And some souls, even after they walk away from each other, end up drawing from the same well of feeling. That is precisely where the story of Yaman and Demet Özdemir now lives. It is not a tale of reunion forecasts. It is not a contest recap. It is the account of two people who passed through the same tunnel and emerged into light from different exits, yet found the daylight to be equally vital. What remains when love is over? In celebrity chatter, we tend to flatten things into two easy headlines: it began, it ended. But the truth is, what ends is the label. The imprint, the changed habits, the newly found silences, that stays. When Can and Demet went their separate ways, there wasn't a messy public unraveling. No pointed declarations. No long festering drama. The aftersound, instead, was a hush. And over time, that hush became a question the world kept asking: what are they creating now that they weren't creating before? Yaman, a gaze turned inward, sentences that cut deeper than the surface. For Can, acting has never been only a profession. It is craft and discipline, yes. Routine and control, certainly. But Blue Cave added another layer: the compulsion to shape a narrative from the inside out. An actor doesn't start writing by coincidence. That moment aligns with a private realization that you are no longer satisfied being only the voice for someone else's thoughts. You want to carve an artery straight from your chest to the page. The tale in Blue Cave does not dress itself in the easy clothing of a classic romance. It is woven less from love as conquest and more from understandings that arrive late, and heavy, and honest. Sem enters as composed, precise, and strong. A man who keeps the lid on his heart because he's learned how effective silence can be. The film circles one shimmering question: is it truly too late for certain feelings, or have we only been too afraid to say them in time? This question doesn't merely haunt the audience, it seems to echo back at the film's own architect, Can, who dared to ask it on the page before the camera ever rolled. Demet Özdemir, a tender defiance, a home built brick by brick in quiet. Demet's journey arcs along another road. From the outside, so much of her career has looked polished and lit from all angles. But brightness isn't the same as being heard. For years, there were judgments. A sentence that begins with a compliment and ends with a ceiling, "She's beautiful," but Demet didn't launch a defense. She didn't clap back to win the last word. She wrote. With Two Worlds, One Wish, she steps into the circle not only as an actress but as a storyteller with her own compass. The heart of that film is not a love story in the usual sense. It is the odyssey of people lost in the labyrinth of adulthood who rediscover the child they had to abandon along the way. And perhaps the most striking choice in Demet's piece is what's missing. There is no bitterness, no scorekeeping, no impulse to punish. The story looks toward mending. It reaches for mercy. It trusts the possibility that hope is not naive, but necessary. Two routes, one emotion. Stand the projects side by side and something unspoken loops them together. It isn't because they mirror plots or share character types. The kinship lives in their roots. Can's narrative is shaded like a late hour, more contemplative, volatile beneath the calm, asking questions that don't promise tidy answers. Demet's is lit like morning, soft, restorative, full of breath. One dives into the undercurrent, the other lays out a field to rest in. This isn't a hierarchy. It's a cycle. Two phases of the same weather pattern passing through different windows. We often misunderstand inspiration. We think it emerges only where people meet, collaborate, and exchange notes. But real inspiration can travel like a signal, no contact required. Sometimes what one person dares to do gives another person the courage to answer their own calling. When Can wrote Blue Cave, when Demet penned Two Worlds, One Wish, it wasn't a duel. It was a parallel awakening. Two answers rising from a shared silence. Why did magazines seize on this? Because the narrative refuses the common script. No ruptures to capitalize on, no acidic interviews to parse. No clear winner-loser frame that turns human lives into a scoreboard. And precisely because of that, it draws us closer. It invites the real question: can people genuinely change after love ends? Can they carry the lesson rather than the wound? Can and Demet, without speeches or slogans, offer a layered yes. Neither disavows the past. Neither replays it to draw attention. There's no hunger for nostalgia's applause, no cryptic barbs, no back and forth to light the gossip cycle. Only the work stands up and speaks. And sometimes, that is thunder enough. The conclusion is disarmingly simple: the quiet strength of inspiration. You might have noticed as you listened, there is no single dramatic twist here. Real life rarely punctuates growth with symbols. Some metamorphoses occur in whispers. Some inspirations glide under the door and settle where you least expect them. Some loves continue to alter the way we breathe long after the goodbye has been said. That is where Can Yaman and Demet Özdemir now walk. Not together. But not apart in spirit, either. They are traveling the same road of emotional maturity, just on opposite sides of the lane, each carrying light in a different color. Look at where they stand today. This is not a rivalry. It is not a graph of whose line climbs higher. It is the chronicle of two artists who once shared an intense world and now answer the same question with two voices. Can speaks of the weight of unsent words, the ache of late realizations, the private fragility of a man who trained himself to be unshakable. Through Sem, he lets control tremble just enough for truth to slip out. Demet, from her vantage point, reminds us not that we should remain stuck in unfinished places, but that we are allowed to heal and keep faith, that life can still greet us with the unexpected even after the curtain seems to have fallen. Place the films side by side and you don't get a clash, you get completion. Perhaps what their love taught them both was simple and relentless: when a feeling is locked inside, it becomes a storm. One answered that storm with a night journey. The other answered with dawn. Different maps, same destination, to tell the story that would not stop pressing at the ribs. Today, Can and Demet are not sharing the same table. But they are tending to the same garden within, pruning what doesn't serve, watering what quietly blooms. Maybe this is the healthiest tie two people can keep. To strengthen each other without consumption, to influence without intrusion, to evolve side by side even when life has placed a long stretch of road between them. If you felt the pulse of inspiration instead of the tug of competition in this tale, join the conversation in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to Whispers of Turkish Stars, and share this soft-spoken yet resonant story. We'll be back with more real moments behind the luminous curtain of celebrity. Happy New Year!